everything was normal. I had my morning sickness and afternoon sickness, evening sickness. It was all normal. I didn't think that anything was wrong. I was 20 weeks. I had got up that morning, went to work. I was feeling perfectly fine. Halfway through my shift, I started to not feel good. I started to have some cramping, and at first I thought, do I have a stomach bug? What's going on? And I went to the restroom, and it was then at that moment that I actually passed the tissue, the fetus. There was no really, kind of wondering, okay, what's going to happen? This is what's going on. It just happened. And it was devastating because you're sitting there at work. You're not with your family. You're not with your husband. You're, in a sense, kind of alone, and you're sitting there looking at, what was once inside of you, and it's laying in your hand. Hands, arms, fingers, toes. You could see the face, the eyes, the lips. You could see everything. It was a baby in my hand, and it fit in the palm of my hand. It's an image I'll never get that out of my head, never. Well, I worked in the same hospital where I got my care, and so in the basement of this hospital was the doctor's office. So, went down there, let the doctor know kind of what had happened. They asked me if I would like for them to send the tissue off to be examined and see if they could figure out kind of what had happened, and I had agreed to that, and so we did that. I went home. It was a lonely drive home. It was, how am I going to tell my husband? How am I going to tell my family? You have an 18-month-old that, you're telling them that, mommy's going to have a baby, and, and they understand. They're young, but, they still know that something is different. You've been telling this, and so it was just a very, very lonely time. I thought, what did I do wrong? Was it in those first couple months when I didn't know that I was pregnant, I'd have a beer or, eat something that, pregnant women aren't supposed to eat. And so I thought, is this something that I did? What did I do wrong? What did I not take care of that I should have? But most of what I felt was just very empty, very alone, very alone. It wasn't something you talked about. You had your miscarriage, and you went about your day-to-day life. You weren't given that opportunity to mourn. You didn't, call your best friend and say, hey, this is just what I went through, And I still think that there is stigma to this day regarding miscarriage, but I also feel that we've come a very long way from where we were in 1989. But I still feel that there's that stigma that women feel ashamed. They feel guilty that they didn't do something right. Our women's bodies are made to carry babies, and so every woman wants a successful pregnancy, and so when we don't have a successful pregnancy, we feel that we've failed, and we feel that we've failed ourselves, we feel that we've failed our family, and so there's still that stigma. Even after I had a successful pregnancy, I've had 3 miscarriages. My second one, I was very early on, 6 weeks pregnant. My last miscarriage, I was actually carrying twins with my last daughter. And, early on, we thought, for sure that I was miscarrying. But we didn't know that there were 2 babies. Again, because we didn't have ultrasounds. We got 1 ultrasound if we were lucky. But my HCG levels started to rise. And so we were like, yes, we got a successful, pregnancy. And then I had to have emergency C-section with her, and there were 2 placentas. And my doctor then said, we know what that bleeding was. You were carrying twins and then lost one. So it got harder because, like I said, it was years that I felt that I was just in that mourning state, and that carrying that burden that I couldn't, carry a pregnancy to term. So I think it's just, you just pile more and more and more on. And so that grief gets deeper. The pain gets deeper. I'm still healing. I am definitely still healing. Several years ago, we had a speaker come in, and her first name is Heidi, and she spoke when we were over at Legacy, and spoke to a group of us women for the awareness of infant loss and pregnancy loss. And there were so many things that she said that really resonated within me and kind of helped me understand why I was feeling the way I was feeling, and kind of helped me ease some of that grief. There were things that we did. We went for a walk down by Riley's Conference Center, and we had little rocks that we got to put messages on them, and just different things that we got to do that was part of that healing process. But to this day, I can't remember the exact date that my miscarriages happened, and I think that's because I wanted to forget it, that it even happened. But I want to find out those dates. I want to get my records and just find out those dates, because I want to celebrate that life, because there was life, 3 lives, 3 precious babies that are in heaven. And they've left a footprint on my heart, and that footprint will forever be on my heart. And one day I will get to hold those babies in my arms. But until then, I want to celebrate, them, because they did bring us joy for that short period of time that they were in our lives. They brought us joy. But also, I've been able to share with other women what I've gone through. And I have a dear friend of mine who is part of my healing process because of the close relationship that we have, because of what she went through and that relationship that we built. And so, I am thankful for the pain that I've had to go through. And I know that sounds strange to be thankful for pain, but without going through the pain myself, there's no way that I could have helped, my friend with her pain that she had and still has. I am open to talk about it. There's nothing to be ashamed of. There's nothing to hide, it's part of life and death. And you don't have to be old to die. So I think it's just made me really, like I said, not take things for granted.